Hi there, Mary Languish here with another FGI art tutorial to empower and inspire you on your artistic journey. Today we'll be teaching you how to capture likeness with 5 simple tips. Likeness is a difficult one to capture with pencil or with any medium. The smallest line, the slight difference in placement of features can completely change the person's face and make it not look like them. Consistency and accuracy are the keys to making someone look like themselves, and so these tips will help you achieve that. Tip number 1, you want your measurements to be accurate, so accurate measurements. Now there's a few things that can help you with that. The first thing is you obviously want proportions to be accurate, which I'll show you in a minute, but you can also put down a border. So like in my case, I drew the exact size of this and put it over here with my pencil, if you can see that. And I also put a plumb line down the middle of both pictures here. Now for this to work, you have to work from the same size photo, and your area that you're drawing on also needs to be the same size. So in my case, I have like a, 2 by 3 inch or so picture, and I copied that same measurement over here to make a little box. I have another video referencing how to use a ruler and a pencil to create borders and grids on your paper, so check that out in the description below. But a plumb line is definitely helpful to have on your picture, but it only works if your picture is exactly the same size. And the last part of this tip is that it's helpful to work small. Obviously, you don't always want to work small, and that's fine, but sometimes for your first ones, working small like this is actually very helpful because you have less area to eyeball, less area to measure, and then it just ends up being a little bit more accurate when it's smaller. So let's get started with getting some of the basic proportions down using this plumb line to help me. So because it's right down the middle of my picture, I can kind of use it as reference to measure from that line in both directions to get, you know, the width of her head, the height of her head, all these different things, the right measurement. You always want to draw lightly also, because you're going to be moving things around a lot when you're capturing likeness. It's a good habit to get into in general with whatever you draw. And you can use if it's the same size that you're working from, you can use your fingers to help you out to get the right measurements of things. Or a ruler works too. You can also use the tip of your pencil to help you. But being really accurate with where you're placing the outside edge of the face is super, super important. You want to be really picky with this step, because if this is wrong, then there's going to be a lot that's wrong. So you want to make sure that every line you're putting down is something you can double check to make sure it's in the right place and the right size. And again, still drawing lightly, drawing basic shapes, nothing too crazy. Now, once the face is the way I like it and looks accurate, again, things are going to be tweaked as you go. This is where we want to make sure our proportions are accurate. So this is all still part of tip number 1, is just lining things up, making sure everything is in the right place before you do any details or shading. So now I want to figure out where her features are. And you're always, as long as your picture is something you can draw on, it's always nice to have something that you can put some reference down. You can always measure from an object, feature of the face, to the edge of your picture to get the right location for something, right? That's always a good idea. You can always do more grid lines to help you as well, or use a ruler to be more precise. Whatever helps you to be super accurate with your proportions. You're not committing at all to placement yet until you've started to kind of build the features up a little bit and see how it looks. Now, as you move towards doing features of the face, I like to actually outline shadows because that's helpful for me to see the placement of things. And again, this is still part of tip 1, just so you know where things are supposed to be placed. You can still be measuring, but you want to kind of avoid drawing features so much and work on the values that you're seeing. So that's tip number 1, is just making sure you're taking your time, lining things up, getting the right measurements, checking with your photo, using the plumb line for reference, creating more grid lines if necessary to help you out. Now, trick number 2 is to actually step away, take a break. Getting a distance from your drawing clears your mind a little bit. Go do something else, come back to it, and you'll notice things that you didn't notice before, okay? So the first time around, you get caught up in specific details, and then the second time, when you come back with fresh eyes, a fresh mind, you actually see a whole lot more. That's a huge hack for capturing a likeness, is stepping away. Another trick you can do is taking your picture and turning it upside down. Now, when it's upside down, your brain can kind of shift from, oh, I'm not drawing a face, I'm just going to look at shapes and lines. And so when it's upside down, I can get a clear idea of maybe my angles for things, tweak whatever doesn't look quite right. Again, if I would have stepped away and come back, that would be even better. But this is one trick if you want to work on it longer that you can start implementing, is turning it upside down. Again, you're still not committed to the lines that you're putting down. Keep things light. Now, once you've taken a break and come back, you're gonna be able to see things that you didn't notice before. So on mine here, I can tell that the side of the face here is not quite coming out enough. So tweaking things like that. This shadow comes in a little bit more. You know, you'll start to see things that you didn't notice before. Maybe it's angles, maybe it's size of features, making sure you're not going too big with any of the features and that they're at the right angle. All of that is important things that you only will see if you come back with fresh eyes. Step number 3 is to start adding values. You must add values. Lines, no matter how many lines you do, no matter how much you tweak, it's never going to look like them. And so you have to start to build in value, even though you know it's not quite there yet. You want to start to add in values to bring it to life, because values are what show the surface area of someone's face. It brings it to life. It really makes it them. And so it's super important to jump right into values as soon as you can. So I'm gonna do that. Again, you're not super committed because you wanna be able to tweak things. So always start lighter because you can always darken it later. And I tend to focus my energy on the face because that's where the likeness is. The hair, the clothing, stuff like that can be done later when I have less energy, and focus my attention on the face itself to capture that likeness. More things will come forward as you shade things. You'll notice, oh, I need to move that over. I need to make room for that little highlight. That's why shading is an important step. You want to make sure your lines are disappearing into the values because lines are what make it look fakey. Pay attention to the smallest little differences. Shifting down a line can make all the difference. Now, once you have a good base of values down, it's tip number 4, which is the same as tip number 2, which is you're going to take a break. You're going to step away, go do something else, come back tomorrow, come back in a few hours, flip it upside down to work on it for a little bit, and then take a break, whatever you want to do, but just so that you can come back with completely fresh eyes and be able to see the subtle things that you need to tweak. So I'm going to do the same thing. Now, when you come back to your picture, you're going to notice a few things. One, you might be surprised that it actually is starting to look like the person. And then 2, you're gonna notice things that actually need to be tweaked and fixed. So as you can see here, I came back and I noticed that my eye on the right side here is a little too high. And so I had to erase the whole thing, and I'm gonna drop it down a little bit, as well as like the side of the cheek needed to come out a little bit. The highlights need to be the right shape. So you'll start to notice some more of those things once you've taken a break and come back to it. Now, it's important to, like I said from the beginning, to draw lightly and not commit to each line because you might have to do something like this later on. So again, you can always step away multiple times until you feel like you've gotten it right. But I think for now, I'm gonna call this good, end it there. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more art content like this. And thanks for watching. Bye.